What is going on, guys? It is LASIK here. This is my second attempt recording this video, so I'm going to try to make it a little quicker. I was kind of messing around with stuff, so it should be a little quicker this time around. I've been getting a lot of requests on how I mix my song In My Head, which was kind of like a quadeca style song from I Didn't Mean to Haunt You around when he released that album. Recorded those about 2 years ago now, and I tried to get the In My Head track so I can show you guys exactly what I did to that. But it has so many plugins on it that my computer cannot even like play it for a single second without buffering it. So I have another song here that I recorded and I never released called I Didn't Mean to Leave You Here. Not officially, obviously, but that is what I was going to name it if I did release it. But I'm going to show you guys what I did to get the quadeca vocal, because I did use a lot of similar plugins for it. So this is basically going to translate for the whole entire song. This one channel strip is going to apply to every single thing that I did to the song. Like every single audio chain is the exact same. It just has a little bit different bus settings. And that's pretty much it. So I'm going to show you guys the vocal chain that you're going to want to use to create that quadeca vocal. I'm going to play this with the beat first, and then I'll kind of play it solo so you guys can hear it. I didn't mean to leave you. Oh. So that doesn't want to play anymore. As you can see, though, you can kind of hear it already. So I'm going to just play it solo for a second.
Clear. Yeah, I'm always in your ear.
Alright, so first thing I did, these are not all stock plugins, by the way, but you definitely 100% can use some stock plugins if you want. I would recommend buying the bundle from Slate Digital that gives you all the plugins per month. I think it's like $15 or something, maybe even cheaper for certain plans of it. But I find it totally worth it if you are actively working on music. Get the Metatune plugin. It's a great auto-tune. It saves my tracks because I cannot fucking sing, man. I could show you guys what I sound like without it, but I don't really want to dox myself here. But yeah, I pretty much left it at a pretty low response here, just because I didn't want it to be super tuned. Like I didn't want it to sound visibly audibly auto-tuned. And then I left this at 99.1. Usually we did 100. I don't know why I did 99.1, but you get it. Second thing I use, you definitely don't need this. It's just kind of a extra thing that I have, I think from Isotope. I'm not really sure. RX Repair Assistant. Use a denoise just because I used to have a lot of background noise where I was recording these tracks. So I use that and a little bit of a declip and de-esser, but you can just use a stock Logic de-esser instead, and that's basically all this does. Next thing, this is one of the most important parts of your track, is an EQ. Basically cut off all of the low end, brick wall of the low end with this FabFilter EQ. If you want to do it in Logic, just cut out pretty much all the low end. Just make a shelf kind of like this in the stock Logic EQ. And I cut it off at about 162 hertz. Try to make it pretty thin. I didn't want the vocal to be super thick and like rumbly, so you want to make it pretty thin. And then I rolled off some high end too, and I just did a normal EQ cleanup, panned them up, and listen for bad frequencies, put them back down. That's pretty much what you're going to want to do with any track. So definitely applies here. Same EQ that you would always do for another track. Next thing I did was a compressor. Used the stock Logic ones for this. Used a vintage FET for my first one. A little bit of a lower threshold, 25 ratio 2.2 to 1, and didn't change the makeup. Fast attack, pretty much mid-release here, 120 milliseconds. Just sounded pretty good. Just make sure your needle here is bouncing between 0 and 5 when you're using a compressor. Once it gets past 10, it's going to be peaking your vocals, and it's just not going to sound good. Here is where I would say you want it to reach for the maximum. Next thing I'm going to add is another compressor, Platinum Digital. This one took away a little bit more threshold, 35.5, so about 10 more than the last one. Ratio 1.9, makeup of 0, and another fast attack, a little slower release.
I thought I'd see her again. Now I'm just stuck in fear.
As you can see, it's bounced into here. This was the main compressor, pretty much, to clean the vocals peaks up. my computer is just so fucking old that it just can't even process the compressor going up right now. So yeah, next thing I did was add a chroma verb. I think I just did a stock one. Usually use a lot of stock stuff. Spaces, clean space is what I use for that one. You can cut out some more of the high end and a little bit more of the low end if you want, but I just left it how it is with the chamber setting. But I think it would sound good with smooth space or airy or vocal hall. Any one of these you want to kind of play around with. Maybe reflective hall would sound cool, but I'm just going to leave it how it is now. Next thing I added, this is just for a de-esser plugin. You don't have to use this, and I cleaned it up with another EQ. So if you don't have this, you should basically just add another channel EQ from Logic, and basically just do a normal EQ cleanup around the high end here. I felt that it just sat better in the mix when a lot of the high end was cut out, and then I just rolled off like 40 hertz of low end too. Alright, now this is the most important part of all of it. This is the bus settings. This is pretty much what makes the vocal what it is and adds like the shakiness and the ghostly effects to it. So the first bus is a stereo delay. This is what I did for it. I'm pretty sure I just left it default, to be honest, and just kind of cranked the knob up on the buses, and just kind of did what sounded good for each of the vocal tracks. So that's kind of what I do. I just play it by ear. So your settings aren't going to sound exactly like mine are with the same exact like ratios. So kind of just pan through it yourself. Bus 2, I added a flanger. This is also on every single track as well, so this is how you get that vocal effect, that kind of shaky, more ghostly effect. I did just a stock easy flange up here from Logic, and I've kind of just left it how it is, I think. If not, copy those settings. Bus 3, I used a phaser, and this is also creating that kind of ghostly effect. It's kind of like bouncing back and forth between the headphones a little bit, and it's just making it sound really cool. And on this one, I used a light high phase. Just stock one again, but you can go through them. You can. I thought up and down modulation sounded cool too, but it was a little too much for this vocal, I think. Bus 4, echo, pretty much just a stock one, I think. I don't think I did much to this. I might have just played around with the notes and got like a perfect echo. You're kind of have to also do that by ear. Depends on the tempo of your track on what you're going to want to do to echo. So if you want to copy these settings, you can. Bus 6, another channel EQ. Destroyed all of the low end to 210 hertz, and then I rolled off a bunch of high end. So it's basically just a nice, like half watermelon shape here. Just remember that little half watermelon shape. But play around with it. Next thing I did was I added a gain, and this is just to make the vocals louder because the beat was so fucking loud, man. So I had to put the vocals through a little gain processing, and plus it makes them peak a little bit and distort, which is kind of cool sounding with this kind of track. Next thing I did was I added a spread to the vocals, a stereo spread, and this is for vocals. This isn't for the beat or anything. The high, or the medium, mid, and HF spread is the stock I use for this, and I don't know if I changed anything, but this kind of just makes it kind of a shaky sound in your headphones and the stereo. Just makes it sound a little like more ghostly, you know. Next thing I added, just a normal spreader, dimensional enhancer, just created a lot of presence in the track. Yeah, I really like this plugin. Bus 10, I just added, I think I added it for an Adlib, but it's just a reverb loop plate. I didn't add this to every track though. I did the chroma verb direct onto the track to make it sound even more ambient. So yeah, that's pretty much all I did for that. This middle track, same exact thing. Might have messed with the auto-tune a bit.
In another world, but instead I am alone. I got no home, just the memories and all the stones. Skip across the water, pick up my bones. Are you in this place too? Or another zone? Just wanna talk when I hear your tone. Am I just dreaming? I'll never know. I'll never know. I'll never know. All of my thoughts.
Alright, so the most important part, I think, of this track is the ad-libs and the echoes. So you basically just want to record a shit ton of ad-libs, like any type of ambience you can. You want to contrast them a lot. Like, you're going to have a singing ad-lib on top of like a talking ad-lib like I just had here. I'll show you guys what these both sound like soloed, so you can kind of see what I'm talking about.
They're in the snow. I wish you could see me now. Now. Sorry, I ain't make you proud. Sorry.
So yeah, just a lot of ambient ad-libs. That's what you want to do. Just get creative with it, man. Like, play around with cool sounds. That's what I like to do. Just play around with cool little, like, vocal inflections. Like, just stuff like that. Just make it cool, man. Make it you. That's what I did here. I was just screaming into the mic, man. That's the reality of it. I was literally just screaming into the mic, making sounds, and it just comes out, you know? So just added some auto-tune on that, some ambience. Added just a little extra reverb, I think, to these tracks. Yeah, a little more reverb on these ad-lib tracks, 58 wet, and use smooth space, clean space setting instead of the Collins gate. But yeah, it sounds really good. Really like how the ad-libs turn out here. And you can pan them any direction you want, but I don't like to pan them too far. So the most important part were the echoes, though. You can absolutely cut your main vocal chain and create echoes out of that, just out of the words you already said. But for this particular track, I learned my lesson within my head, because that is what I did. I straight up took chops from the actual vocal and I stacked them to create echoes where I wanted them, and used, you know, the echo bus to make them reflect properly. But I found that to be so time consuming that I just recorded these instead of, you know, messing around with the main vocal track.
All of my thoughts. I wish that you could see me now. Sorry, I ain't make you proud. Sorry, I let you down. Now.
But yeah, basically just create a bunch of ad-libs, make them ambient, just fade them into the background as much as you can with these plugins. Lots of reverb. And that's basically it, you guys. Like, this is the vocal chain that I used pretty much to the T for In My Head as well. I think I added like probably a filter on it. I think I added like a fuzz wah or something. I think that's what that shit's called. Yeah, filter fuzz wah. I added, I think, a little bit of one to the In My Head track, but that's pretty much it. Like, I didn't do anything differently on that track than I did do here. Basically, all it is just making really cool ambient echoes in the headphones and stereos and stuff. Like, that's basically how the production was for that album. I thought it was great. It's so full of like sounds that blend so well together. And, you know, I was never able to create it like I wanted to, so I stopped kind of making that style of music. You know, I thought In My Head, I really liked that track. I really liked making it. That's why I kind of never released this. It's because it wasn't 100%, like, I don't know, I just didn't feel like it was... One other thing I did here was I basically made my own echoes here, and I just copy and pasted them, faded them in and out, so it sounded kind of like it was just a continuous echo. And of course I added a ton of normal echo on it as well, so it did keep echoing afterwards, and I thought it just sounded really cool. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. It's kind of making me want to drop this track, I'm not going to lie. But really hope this helped you guys out, because I've had a few people ask me in the comments of that video, like, if I still had the file or whatever. And I'm glad I got to make a video finally, so I could actually show you guys how to do it, because I don't think I've seen any other people kind of explain how to get a similar effect. You know, obviously it doesn't sound like one-to-one to Quadeca. I just kind of made my own kind of spin on it, kind of worked well with my voice, I thought. I thought it was a little more legible. Sometimes I have trouble hearing Quadeca, so I kind of liked my vocal effect. I could definitely try to duplicate his a little closer, if that's what you guys would rather see. but I had a lot of people ask specifically about it in my head, so this was the closest thing that I had to kind of give an example for. But yeah, I hope this helped you guys out. If you want any more mixing tutorials for any other styles, let me know. I'm not the best at teaching, obviously. I pretty much self-taught. I don't really know a ton about audio mixing, to be honest. I know the basics, but yeah, this is just what I used, and hopefully it helped you guys out. So yeah, leave a like below if you guys think I should drop this song. Alright, peace out, y'all.